Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Just Roll It Already. I am your host, Daryl.
I am your host, John.
And
Sean Patterson.
Yep. And today we are going to be talking about the transition from player to game master. And Sean, you've been a player for a little while, and you've been wanting to become a game master, and you had some questions for us about game mastering, because John and I have been a game master for a while.
Well, I want to talk about a couple things because although I haven't been playing for a while and I don't know all the mechanics of Pathfinder, I thought I could do a better job of being a game master, creating a story and not playing a character.
So you want to give it a try?
Yeah. Although I am aware that as being a game master, I'm going to have to be playing as like 50 characters, so it's probably not going to be any easier than playing one character. So.
Well, it's not necessarily you're playing as 50 characters. You have to be ready to. You just anticipate the players. You don't necessarily have to have pre-built characters. If you want to, you can, but it's just reactionary.
Well, as I've seen before with a couple game masters, they had set character pages for a couple bosses. Is that relevant, or how do you create those? Is that needed for it, or is it just helpful to have around? Because as you say before, you can't actually anticipate what the other players will go for.
Well, for me, John and I are completely two different types of game masters. Okay, I am a by the pants. I have a rough idea and I know what's going to happen, but getting there, it is a little bit more of an interesting story. That's what makes a story for me. So I have a big bad, but how they go about fighting the big bad or finding a way to defeat the big bad, that's perfectly fine. You can go from a linear story to a just absolute crazy game. I typically have an idea, I go off that idea, I set up an encounter, I set up ways to put things together, I let the pieces fall into place. The problem about that, you got to be a little bit more seasoned to actually learn how to do it off the seat of your pants, because it can actually be a car wreck if you don't know if you're not careful how to handle it. You got to be improv'd. John, however, is a lot more precise and more well-planned. He has his encounters, his ideas, his games all set up for you.
Well, in reality, actually, I plan my world. I don't necessarily plan my actors. The actors are kind of organic in that sense. But I plan my worlds, and I plan my maps, and I plan my economies. I plan my down to like the fauna, down to the flora. We're talking down to the algae level. I want to know how my world ticks, because once my world starts ticking, then it can be in motion.
And I'm not like you. I have an idea, I have a society, and there you go. I don't think it really matters if you need, well, actually that one time when you made beer from a rare moss that we found in my game called Fey Moss, which made you pretty much Hulk out. But for the most part, I make something up, like, okay, I'm looking for medicine. Well, you find, let's call the plant
opium. It's lemongrass. There we go.
Let's call it bloodgrass.
Let's go with something fantasy-wise.
Yeah, we'll call it bloodgrass. And what's it do? It stops bleeding, and the little sticky residue it makes a perfect adhesive bandage. There.
Yep, and then it grows off people's blood.
Yeah.
So then you fail critically, and then it kills the person.
Welcome to The Last of Us.
Okay. I'd never played that game.
Oh, man, I wish
great game. I love it. I don't play it, but I watch people play, and it's a beautiful game. Getting back onto it, maybe we can use that as a good example of a video game. Now, you said you want to do Pathfinder.
Yes.
Okay, first thing I have to say, familiarize yourself with the rules. The basics first, and then if it comes down to the more complex stuff, you might want to talk to people about it.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now, so...
Okay, so we'll focus on Pathfinder then, because I run Pathfinder, I play Pathfinder a lot, not recently, and so does John.
Yeah.
And...
I have to ask, have you been in any other systems? Have you played any other systems?
I played, I played a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons like 5 years ago.
The original 3.0 or 3.5?
I'm going to say 3.5.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of Eclipse Phase.
Yeah.
And there was this one, I forget what it was. What was it called? It was kind of like a little bit like Resident Evil-ish.
Describe what happened. Did I run you that game?
It was Resident Evil 5. No one got scared. It was just everyone blowing up every single zombie they could possibly see.
I think.
And we also had a Batman in the party. That was pretty.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Kylie's weird game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
maybe Slenderman had freaking.
Maybe we'll save that for.
That's pretty.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about
his stupid psychic game.
It's
That's how you don't run a game. You give people too much power. Okay, you give people enough. Okay. First, let's put mechanics first. Mechanic-wise, John, you are a mechanical person.
Yes.
Please give him some mechanical advice.
Mechanical advice in the sense of Pathfinder. Okay, so what kind of advice are you looking? What do you need tinkered with? Is the question.
Well, first off, I'm still trying to figure out how to work the character sheet ordeal, but I want to talk about combat-wise. How does the turn? How do you structure the turns with?
This is how
combat?
This is the first thing you need to know to understand a turn. A turn is, in fact, 6 seconds per player, but it's actually a round. Each person takes their 6 seconds not simultaneously, which is strange. So depending on the number of players, the round can be actually longer than it can be up between anywhere from 12 if you have only 2 players to like 6 to 7 if you have 7 players. Right. So your round is actually really long. So you have to imagine your setting. Like if there's 10 players, or if there's 10 people in the scenario, like there's 5 monsters, 5 players. Each round is going to be a full minute. So if you're counting sand at that point, you kind of have to gauge your encounter to be that long. So like day-night shifts even. But if they get really bad.
I remember this one combat I did with my last RP group. It took about, I'm going to say 5-6 hours for this combat scenario to be over, and at the end of it, I found out that the combat scenario was like 4 minutes long.
Yeah, so you got to try and keep if you're going to DM combat turns, you need to keep your players strict to if they're doing a 6-second turn, they're going to get about 6 seconds to make their actions. They need to plan ahead.
Yeah. You got to keep things flowing. That's the first thing I have to say. In my games, I sit there and somebody comes up and saying, like John says, well, that rule doesn't. How does this rule work for this action I want to do? And I say, well, you know what? Let's worry about that later. Let's do this, this, and this, and in the meantime, let's wave the hand and worry about it later. Because right now, let's just deal with this. We look at it at a break, and that's what you do. Yeah. You got to remember, you are the one in charge. You are the one that makes all the decisions. You're the one who gets to call the shots. If somebody's fighting you about this, you don't be afraid to dish out punishment either. I mean, by all means, you can sit there and you say, keep on fighting me, John. Keep on fighting me. If you keep on doing this, good luck, bye-bye XP. And if you really, 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 really want to piss me off, bye-bye levels. If you want to be Kylie, throw right at him and watch him scream.
But then if you take my levels, I take your legs.
It's okay. I still got my rolling hands.
No, I'll take just your thumbs. You'll never game again. Imagine trying to roll dice without thumbs, people. Just putting that out there.
I just use my mouth.
Put it onto a Yahtzee cup and just slap it down on the table.
Yahtzee! Oh, man, how did you do with that D20s?
Anyway, you got to be careful if you're going to make snap judgments like that, though, especially in the middle of combat, because you need to be consistent. You need to come up with a rule that you can be consistent with. That's all you got to really worry about. Everything, all modifiers and conditions can be set by you depending on how severe you think they are.
Also familiarize yourself with the basics, okay? Just get familiar with everything. Just look through the books, know the material, and take some time to read into it. Don't get yourself too head over deep with it, because first thing you do in a book, you open it up, you look at the mechanics. There's all sorts of resources online. There's more than just us. You go anywhere, and there's people who are Pathfinder specific, and I could name a couple, but I'm not going to right now because that will take too long.
Yeah, something to note is there are chapters 6 through 9 that are seldom read. They are never glossed over. Veteran players will especially do it, and I'm guilty of it because I know how a charge works. I know how to bull rush works, but if you're going to DM, you need to look over chapters 6 through 9 because those are like everything.
Experience is also a good thing to do to get under your belt. Start with small games. Don't go for the big epic story yet.
Friends, then friends of friends.
That was the thing I was thinking. I was thinking about 3 beta games that I would actually start. In fact, my next question, which is still in the DM basis, is I know there is a structured story to Pathfinder, but you go off of that and create your own worlds. Would it be more susceptible to stay in the world of Pathfinder, or go create my own in a simpler structure?
That is hard to say. If you're talking about the Golarion setting as opposed to building your own, we talked about this in an episode before, but what we said is they both have their advantages and disadvantages. I create my own, John creates his own.
Yeah.
The advantages of established settings is you don't have to do so much work. You just make a story. The problem is people can know prior what the world is like too much, and they'll anticipate things a little bit too easily. Or they will fight you and they will make problems for you.
Yeah. And then there's the world you create, which does take a lot of work, and that is the downside. But it is something that is your own, and you understand it the best.
All right, because just a quick idea for me was I was thinking of basing a RP off of a Magic the Gathering setting called Ravnica, if any of you are aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know about Ravnica.
City of Guilds. I was thinking it would be a very cool setting, and I've read the books, but they're god awful, so I had to try.
It's like Dean Koontz wrote them.
Exactly.
It's like fanfic for the entire card game.
It's like Dean Koontz fanfic.
Oh gosh.
It's like the guy that made these Star Wars book sequels. It just doesn't ever work out.
Oh god.
Okay. Going off the Ravnica thing, you know what? I think that would be a good one for you to start with because you understand the lore. You read the lore, you understand it, you understand how the world goes. You can make your own kind of races or wedge yours in and kind of erase or file off the serial numbers just to make sure that people say like a gnome is suddenly a kith whatever.
Yeah, it's now, I'm just going to file the serial number so they're not registered and the cops don't confiscate them. Anyway, yeah, so if you're going to do something like take Ravnica, I'd say strip the idea of all its names. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have a city of guilds, but I don't call them the Golgari, I don't call them the Azorius, I don't call them the Izzet, I don't call them the Boros. I call them whatever I damn well please, and I can have as many guilds as I want. So you're free, it's like that's my recommendation because then you're not like locking yourself into
creative freedom.
Create freedom.
Go with the basics. Don't lock yourself down to an idea. If it's getting in your way, throw it out. Build from scratch.
It's for the beginning, guys.
Yeah. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe below. If you have anything you want us to talk about, put them down in the comments or email at us at our Gmail at justrollitalready@gmail.com. I'm Daryl.
I'm John.
I'm Sean.
And have a good day. That's something that Jeremiah does most of the time, and we kind of make our little ending thing. If you guys have been wondering what that noise was, it's Jeremiah just for some reason, making his mouth into a trumpet. He's weird.
He's good at that. Anyway.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. See you later.